Alright, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Mejiro Dober, Vodka SR Speed, as well as Daitaku Helios Power SSR. Take note that this banner comes directly after Kita-san Black, so you may not have enough gems for this banner, and it comes before Christmas Oguri Cap, which is another major banner that you may or may not want to pull for. If you're F2P though, I do highly recommend pulling Xmas Oguri because she is a very strong horse that can be used for multiple positions, which allows you to basically free up a few Uma slots. So if you want to pull a little bit of Uma, then Xmas Oguri is a very nice banner to pull on. However, despite all of this, it's not required to pull on any Uma banner, and there is also a selector banner for the first anniversary paid, where if you pay, you can straight up select any banner up until Tamamo Cross. So you are able to go and collect all of your horses, right? So take note of that for your Oguri Cap and your Mejiro Dober. You don't have to pull them. You can just select them at the first year anniversary with the Uma Selector banner if you're willing to pay. Right? So anyway, let us talk about the cards. First of all, the cards are very easy to explain. Vodka is primarily a hint card. This card does not have 10% race bonus. This card only has 25% friendship bonus, meaning it is not as OP as Sweep Tosho or as OP as your Windy. Right? These are very strong speed cards that are able to basically be slotted into your deck as an SR, but Vodka doesn't really come too close to their stat output, right? She gives you power, and she's a speed card. That is a very nice little niche that she does. You really do want to get a lot of power when you're clicking speed, but the fact that you have only 5% race bonus means that you are not usable during the make a new track scenario. We're just preparing for that scenario now. Haru, you can still use this card if you want, mostly for skills, right? If you want Tokyo Racetrack, you want straight recovery, straight skill, mile straightaways, medium straightaways, straightaway XL, updrafters, nimble navigator as a really RNG option, or mile corners. You can go and use this card, right? This card is mostly a skill monkey card. If you want to use it, you can, but there are much better SRs to be using for your different positions, right? We got Aishin, Sweep Tosho, as well as Shinko Windy. Yeah, Shinko Windy. Okay. Yep, so that's pretty much all of the other ones to take note of. Then we move on to the Daitaku Helios card. This card is actually really solid, right? Daitaku Helios is actually a really solid card. This Daitaku Helios is essentially a race bonus 10% card, which is good because that means that it's usable during the make a new track scenario. Friendship bonus of 30% is good. She gives you power bonus. She also gives you skill point bonus and also a hint level of 3 with hint frequency of 40%. The only weak point I can say is probably the 5% training effectiveness. So the output of this card is actually really good. Specialty priority is 35 or so that's about par for most of the other SRs or SSRs that we use, right? Especially like Fine Motion, for example, right? So yeah, this card is really solid. The only downside of this card is just that she's a power card. You will find that as long in the future scenarios, right? In the future scenarios, Wits cards tend to be the king. You try not to put power cards into your deck as much as possible, mostly because if you click Wits, you get energy back, and if you click power, you don't get energy back, right? Also, the Wits cards tend to have really good skills available for certain positions, so you tend to try to shove Wits cards into your deck. Wits is very good. It's just, and power is also important, but you try not to be clicking power as much as possible, right? You want to click speed to train power, then you click wits to train speed, and then you click wits also to regain energy. So this is the most optimal loadout most of the time. Then if you need stamina, you either inherit the stamina or you just slam one super crit inside of your deck, and that tends to be what you do. Or later on in Make a New Track, you can also just slam 4 guts, and that would actually settle your stamina requirements and also help you a lot with maxing out speed and power. So really, power cards are not going to be very meta relevant until much later, when you want to hunt down either a specific skill or you are using a insanely overpowered power card. For example, Tamamo Cross or Nishino Flower. But that's way in the future. For now, power cards tend to not be a very important position card as much as possible. We try to always shove good amount of speed because we must always max out speed. Then we want to try and get wits because wits help to regen energy during the runs, and a lot of the scenarios you can high roll the other stat lines just by inheritance or just by hitting the scenario stuff that you need. Right. Anyway, besides that, what does this card actually give you? She gives you a lot of very good hints for Mal in particular. Right. Speed Eater, Slipstream, your mile corners, your ramp up. You get a bunch of good stuff. You also get early lead, Pace Chaser Corners, Escape Artist, and Fast Pace and Long Shot, right? The way to get it is either you end the first event and then you get Pace Chaser Corners, or you click the top option of the first event and you randomly get the early lead. Now this sucks, obviously. Random sucks, but But if you are a frontrunner player, this is not your main source of early lead. Your main source of early lead as a frontrunner from now on is always going to be Mihono Bourbon Wit, unless you are training Mihono Bourbon, then you cannot use it, right? So this card, while it does give you the early lead, that's not an important part of this card. The important part of this card is that it's a power card that gives you a lot of good mile skills, so it's very good for the mile horses, and it can give you Escape Artist. This is also RNG, so take note that you might miss the Escape Artist and you might get the fast pace. I believe this is a stat check, but I don't remember which stat it's supposed to be, right? But you randomly get Escape Artist or you randomly get fast pace. This one I believe is a stat check, but I don't remember which stat it's going to be. Ultimately, this card is a solid card, especially for Mal, right? For hunting a bunch of good hints for the Mal and giving you very good stat output. Yes, skill point bonus also. We love skill point bonus. Skill point bonus is always a very, very valuable stat line. It's just that later on, a lot of your decks tend to be 2 to 3 speed, plus a bunch of wit cards, maybe 1 super creek, and also always add 1 scenario card every single time. As long as you can shove in a scenario card, you always try to shove in at least 1 scenario card. Later on, it will be Light Hello, and later on, it will be Grandmasters, and later on, it will be Mei Satake. So all of these scenarios will always have 1 scenario card tax. Then after that, it will be as much speed cards as you need to max your speed. And then the last one will just be shoving a bunch of wits cards into the deck or stamina cards depending on how long you need to go. You will find power cards tend to not be a very, very important card until much, much later. Right? So that's why Daitaku I would not really recommend. But it will have its uses, especially in Make a New Track, where it's just a 10% race bonus gaming, right? This is actually a really okay card, especially if you're going for a Mal CM and you just want to throw this in as a stat stick that can occasionally give you some good hits. That is actually not a too bad niche for this card over here, right? Now, let us move on to the main character here, which is Mejiro Dober. Mejiro Dober is a very, very important horse. This horse gives you a very powerful unique, moving past and beyond. You will see this a lot, so remember 5-6. Because this horse is like Mejiro Ryan's unique, but it can activate in the 5th or 6th position. So most of the time, you will only be using the Mejiro Dober, or if you want, you can get both of them, or if the track allows, you can also pray for Maruzensky's Redshift, or you can pray for Taiki Shuttle. This is all corner-based uniques, right? All of these are corner-based uniques. So for late surgers, this just adds another awesome gambling option for you as a gambler horse. Right, so Mejiro Dober is a very, very strong horse. Notably, the horse is actually alive to this day, and I believe she's the oldest horse alive right now. I think she's 35 or 36 at this point. Very, very, very old horse already. Right, so yeah, still kicking to this day. This is a 5 or 6 horse. You activate this, and you also must not get panicked. So if you don't get panicked and you are in the 5th or 6th position around the corner, you will activate it, and then you will just win the game. Right, this is the power of this horse here. For the Scorpio Cup, inheriting this is actually possible to early activation, and then if you early activate, it will not give you anything. But you can also late activation on number 6, and then you can activate this moving past and beyond. I don't know if that's going to be the better option, or gambling a later activation of your Maru or shooting for victory is going to be a little bit better, right? I think tentatively this unique is only usable on your Dober, right? Because on Dober, this is basically a unique with additional duration. The additional duration allows her to basically activate in the acceleration phase no matter what happens, right? So Dober herself is a very strong horse for gambling purposes for the Scorpio Cup, right? Just take note of all of the monstrous nice natures inside the lobby, so you may have to dump a bunch more stamina into this horse over here, right? Just take note of that. Okay, so this is basically Mejiro Dober for you. She's a very strong horse for the upcoming Scorpio Cup, and the unique is going to be more relevant on other tracks, not so much on this upcoming track. The upcoming track, the Dober unique can activate a bit too early, but you can also gamble a bit too late. If it activates a bit too late, then you'll basically be like a Mejiro Ryan unique, right? Okay, anyway, this horse over here comes with a late surger straightaways and comes with all-seeing eyes. It's not great to have a debuff inside of your natural kit, because if you're making her into a full ace, you probably don't want to buy any debuffs. You just want to make a lot of skills to help the horse win, right? But what does this allow? It allows you to hybridize her, right? Notably, if you scroll up, you can see that she has 20% wits bonus. So that means that she can get a crap ton of wit. Hybridizing her is not so bad, right? But of course, I don't really recommend hybridize anymore, because I find that a lot of people don't know how to do hybridize properly, right? It weakens the main horse. In Aoharu, you can technically get a billion more wit, so it's actually a little bit more consistent than before, but I don't think people can execute it properly, so I try not to recommend it anymore, right? Later on, you also have the Yodo Invicta, which is basically a Kyoto, 60 speed, 60 stamina, and 60 wit, which is also occasionally useful for this Kyoto tracks, right? So you have All Seeing Eyes, you have the Yodo Invicta, and then after that, if you scroll down, you have the Unyielding Spirit and All I've Got. So this horse, skills-wise, innately, it's not very amazing, right? It's not really very amazing for helping you to win. It's more towards the line of debuffer, actually. The main shtick for the Dober is actually really just that unique. That unique can hard carry her win rate very, very hard, and you will try your best to always either inherit this horse rather than use the horse, but the horse is definitely usable, right? Definitely usable, because ultimately, as long as you have two good accelerations, which she does, you get Ryan and then Dober, or you get Maru and then Dober, or you get Taiki and then Dober, and then after that you just get a bunch of speed skills, you're more or less good enough already for Elite Surger Gambler. So Dober is always good to gamble. You can slap No Stopping Me, your Dober unique, your Ryan unique, bam, Gambler completed. That's just how it goes, right? But Dober is a very, very solid horse, and most of the time you will see her inherited, but she's also a very, very cute horse, and I know many of my friends will be using Dober raw, no problem at all. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video over here. Dober is a very, very solid horse, but remember that you can select to ticket her, you are not required to build her, and if you are a casual player, you can just rental her. Right, so that's pretty much it for this banner over here. Good luck with your pulls, and of course, do take note of the upcoming banners. The next upcoming banners are going to be Christmas Oguri as a major banner, followed by Fukuki Taru. I will talk about all of these upcoming banners in a separate video, talking about the next segment of your Umamusume saving life. What are you going to be saving for? What are the good value banners from now on? That will come out around after Christmas Oguri's banner release. So just keep an eye out for that one if you want to start planning on your next segment. And of course, I do have old videos that explains what kind of banners you would want to be pulling for. It doesn't really change the fact that the patches are coming a little bit faster, right? You are still going to be pulling these horses because these horses are still really important for parenting, and they're still relevant even to this day, and the cards are still going to be good enough because scenarios are not getting sped up. The cards are not getting sped up, so the cards will have roughly the same lifespan as in JP. Right, so that's pretty much it, guys, for this video. Thanks for watching. If you need more information, feel free to access my Twitch or YouTube live streams, or can message me on Ko-fi, or you can join the Discord. The people there are very well trained already, so they mostly know what they're doing. If you get a little bit of misinfo, then just go and scroll that one guy and then go and ask around. 90% of the people there probably know what they're doing already. Right, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. I shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.